What's up, Internet? Coach Dennis here, and welcome back to the Coaching Cotter series, where I coach my good friend Cotter on how to grow his arms, grow his legs, and get jacked and tanned all by the end of the year. Today, we're talking about the squat, and this is actually a special episode. Today, I'll actually be answering my client Travis's question. Shout out Travis, who says, "What do I need to do with squats? They just feel awkward." So today, let's talk about how to squat. So the first thing is we want to think about, why are we squatting? For most of us, we're either trying to get stronger legs or bigger legs and improve our overall physique. So when we're thinking about a muscle and improving the function and strength of a muscle, there's a few factors we need to consider. Think of the muscles almost like a rubber band. The signal that grows muscle is tension. And we can either put tension on the muscle through load, so more weight, or through stretch. So think about that rubber band. If we do maximum stretch on that rubber band, there's maximum tension. Now, obviously, our muscles aren't rubber bands. They do fight back. We have a nervous system. We can stop the stretch at any point. But the purpose behind that concept is that we get to choose where tension comes from. So if we look at these initial sets of squats I did today, I focused on the maximum stretch route. Now, many bodybuilders today would say this is the preferred way to improve the growth of the muscle over load. So meaning stretch is more important than how much weight we have on the bar. And that's a huge consideration when we're going to try and squat deep like this. You may need to start with just the bar alone. But remember, that's not a disadvantage. Less load doesn't necessarily mean less results, because the increased stretch on the muscle is going to be an increased stimulus in and of itself. So you may need to just start with the bar on this just to get comfortable. Now, another tactic I use to help me get lower is to elevate my heels. This really, even though it does require more of a knee bend, it actually requires less hip mobility. So I'm able to keep my feet more narrow and toes more straight forward. If you don't have a wedge like this, you could try placing your heels on another 45-pound plate or a 25-pound plate. And again, just start with the bar, or maybe even start without the bar, and just see if you can't sit your butt down on your heels like that. As you practice, you will get better and your mobility will improve. Now, another thing to consider is the order in which we bend our joints. So a common fault I see is people bending their knees first and then bending at their waist. I've got this slowed down right here. I want you to see that my hips go back and my knees bend almost at the same time. Here, let's check out another rep. So we're trying to unlock the joints at the same time. So I am slowly tilting forward, hinging at the hips while my knees bend. This allows me to feel more balanced. Also, you take your time, go really slow. Go as slow as this slow motion video and just get the feeling of the movement. Form before function, before intensity. Okay, mechanics, consistency, intensity, as they say in CrossFit. Now, you could simply adopt this heel elevated strategy for a long time, or you could play with different options. So here, I'm going to also go for as deep as I can go with my feet flat on the ground. But you'll notice, in order to get my hips lower, I have to put my feet into a wider stance with my toes pointed out. Everybody's hip anatomy is a little different. Some people can squat straight down with their toes forward with a narrow stance. Others, like me, in order to get that ass below parallel, so hips below the knee crease, I have to push my toes out, push my knees out, and almost try and sit my butt between my legs. And this isn't even really the lowest I could go. I could go lower, but I just did a triathlon last weekend, so this is the depth that I had. I'm also utilizing an explosive stand-up here, but really emphasize the slow descent over everything. Go down nice and slow. And again, here, start with a little bit of lighter weight. So this method here with feet flat on the ground will be sort of a hybrid of the three methods I'm going to present today. So I'm still getting a really big stretch, specifically in the quad muscles. But because my feet are flat on the ground, I could theoretically squat more weight than I could with my heels elevated. The reason for the explosive ascents today is that's what my CrossFit coach had me do. Just so happened to be that I filmed my squats today and I'm making a squat video. It worked out perfectly. So let's watch a couple more sets. Let's again focus on the ordering of the hinging. So you'll see my butt goes back and my knees start to unlock at about the same time. That really helps with the balancing. Another thing you can play with is where that bar rests on your back. I have a high bar going on, so it's kind of sitting on the top of my traps. But you could even try and bring that bar a little lower, and you may feel more balanced. I call that a low bar squat. So now the final option you have, like I said, there's two ways to get tension on the muscle. There's the stretch, and then there's just the load. So if you're not ready for heavy, deep squats, but you still want to get some of that heavy stimulus, and there's an argument there because the hormonal response, like testosterone increasing, growth hormone increasing from heavy loads, is relevant. So what you can do is, and this is real time, by the way, is you can squat like more like a quarter squat with a heavier load, but really emphasize, again, that slow descent and even a pause. I really want you to feel balanced and in control. Let's watch that again. So again, this is real time. So you're going to see I squat down very slowly. I'm trying to hinge at the hips and bend the knees at the same time. You don't have to force an upright posture. You'll still be pretty upright, even though it feels like you're leaning a bit forward. But it's better to lean forward initially than do it at the bottom of the squat. You don't want to lose tension at the bottom of the squat by leaning too late. Again, it just so happened that I'm implementing an explosive acceleration on this set. That is a strategy I use a lot. The idea is power. So muscles, what we're just trying to exert force. So if this is 275 pounds, I can still exert 300 pounds worth of force into 275 pounds, hence me getting a little bit airborne. I'm actually putting more force into the bar than required. Working on the fast concentric will lead to better power and strength gains. However, I really want to emphasize that slow eccentric, A, for time under tension, and B, just to hone in your form. So I would say keep playing with it, keep practicing. Experiment with all three strategies. You can do all three in one session and track your progress in all three strategies. You can have these almost in your mind as three different lifts. So you can have your best lift for the heels elevated squat. You can have your best lift for the flat deep squat. And you can have your best lift for the quarter squat and just keep on progressing. But if you take anything away, I think it's focus on that slow descent, balance, and hinging all the joints at the same time. All right, y'all. Peace.